Hello and welcome to some Star Citizen Alpha 3.8, a deeper dive. I haven't covered Alpha 3.8 and the changes that it's seen in the roadmap for a few months now, and I wanted to look at the features that the end of year 2019 patch has, how that's going to affect the game, and what we can expect in a bit more detail. I'll start with some of the more major highlights of the patch for me. One of the most wanted ships in-game and anticipated parts of 3.8 is actually the Anvil Carrack, a large but compact top-tier exploration expedition ship. It houses up to 6 crew and has everything you could need for a small capital exploration ship that you could think of. Advanced scanning and exploration equipment, medical and drone bays, rover, which actually appears to be an Urza rover now as standard, that can be deployed and picked up by the ship, and a scout snub, the Pisces, though the snub craft will be ready later. It's not going to be ready at the same time, we don't believe, as the Carrack is going to be available. I think it's going to be one of the most popular ships in game for groups, and it should be a lot more manageable than a combat-focused capital ship, though obviously it is a bit smaller. It's gone through an interesting development process. It's one of the older concept ships that got made larger, and then they compact it back down again, saying, well, it's more fit for purpose if it's a bit smaller, because it's going to be traveling long distances constantly. It's potentially going to be great for quick, long-distance travel, and it excites me for mission running and multi-role gameplay there. The dynamic mission system is a feature that I'm probably most excited about for the entire game. It's so core to gameplay. It allows content to be dynamically tailored to the current environment and the area of space that you're in or zone that you're in, and have missions generated based on what other missions have been completed in that area, the state of the economy, what's going on. This will see missions featuring specific locations, rewards, and other parameters, and that are dynamically dictated based on guidance from the back-end simulation and players' actions. So these will all then be put together in a modular fashion, so you'll have lots and lots and lots of different parts, so lots and lots of different missions and mission types, and they're be all these shared parts and locations and different events. You're going to see much more mission variety, and they will keep on adding new locations, mechanics, events, enemies, points of interest, allowing for a particular mission to potentially have vastly different parts and outcomes every time you play a similar type of mission. The long-awaited first iteration of Salvage Mechanics are also planned for 3.8. At this stage, players will be able to strip material from a ship's hull. The system will allow players to use tools on foot or on a ship at this stage as well, apparently. The player will have to scan the environment to find salvageable debris, and once harvested, unrefined materials can be sold at a kiosk. It should be pretty basic at this stage, though, and similar to the way we have mining, but it's a new profession, and we have the Reclaimer in already, which is that big salvage ship, and it's expected that the multi-tool will allow you to do those by hand mechanics for the salvage that we'll get there. They have previously talked about being able to weld off weapons and items and systems that you'll be able to go, oh, this shield generator wasn't destroyed in the blast, I wonder how damaged it is, and be able to take it back using the multi-tool or whatever, or removing it from the ship. They've also previously talked about salvage charges and things like that to help break down ships and items that you might be able to get from them, or just to aid in the ship being able to nom them up. The player status system feature requires a bit more of an explanation as well. It tracks various well-being attributes of a character, including health, stamina, and oxygen levels currently in-game. However, in 3.8, this is going to expand to include thirst, hunger, rest, inebriation, hygiene, and temperature. These values will have knock-on effects for player stamina and can be used by AI behaviors to make intelligent decisions based on their own condition or the condition of others on what they should be doing. So if they're hungry, they'll go and eat. But if someone's injured or whatever, they might comment on that or go and help them. This, as far as we're aware, is going to just be light survival mechanics. It's not going to be like you having to constantly eat and drink all the time, but after a few hours your stamina may drop if you haven't eaten. So ships and habs are going to have food prep areas or devices or food vendors as well. If you don't have a shower or use the toilet for a long period of time, vendors and NPCs might comment on that you smell. If you get drunk, then you might be not seeing things or moving particularly easily around anymore. You might be stumbling. Rest, again, if you don't sit or sleep or rest for a little bit, you could lose some stamina. Maybe this will encourage players to log off if they've been playing for 18 hours solid. Temperature is an interesting one as well. and suggests to me that there will be the need to wear armor and environmental gear to protect from cold conditions, like on Microtech. All of this is used to help drive NPCs as well. They're going to be having schedules at some point, but they are going to be starting to get hungry and going to eat and that sort of stuff as well. Planet Microtech is the next major planetary body we are going to see in the persistent universe. The planet itself is a mixture of cold, icy, frozen sea, water, and Nordic forest biomes, all sort of like splodged together. In lore, there was a terraforming accident that left the planet colder than intended. However, this made it very suitable for Microtech, who liked the planet for like computer cooling and science and medical purposes. And they made a city dedicated to science and their sort of brand, and getting lots of other companies to compete on releasing new tech. And it's sort of like a bit like Apple have gone mad and they started to make all forms of tech, and they've now bought a planet. Is the sort of idea here. New Babbage is the planet's major landing zone, and we're also getting that in 3.8. It's going to be the first iteration, and that's only notable that it's the first iteration because it's also listed as having a second iteration for New Babbage, the landing zone, for 3.9. So there's probably going to be areas literally just closed off. In fact, the roadmap states this initial implementation may contain limited traversable districts. So just expect some of New Babbage in 3.8. So New Babbage is a series of biodomes and looks to be styled like a clean greenhouse type area, which is also very medical and sciencey in nature. These are going to have these like domes connected via a tube network similar to that of Lorville's. We know that there's some form of landing zone there. There is a main shopping district that has the premier Microtech store in the center, and then that's surrounded by various other shops. The whole area is circular in nature, which I suspect is generally the theme of each of the biodomes, because, you know, they're domed, they're sort of like semicircles, circular, whatever, or spheres. They're all spheres, you know, they're all, whatever. The area is very clean and clinical, but also has a lot of light from the glass domes and a surprising amount of greenery and plants around. And these plants are reasonably unique in the fact that they are experiments and like bioengineered and crossbred oddly, and some of them have like laser cut leaves. It's sort of like a botanical garden gone mad with science and mutant stuff. There will be other points of interest around the planet, like outposts, bunkers, and mission areas with 3.8 as well. Microtech has 3 moons, which are also included in this patch: Calliope, Clio, and Euterpe. I have no idea if I've said any of those correctly. They're Greek muses. I don't know the Greek muses particularly well. All of which, again, will be populated with content here. There is a Microtech line of clothing that NPCs will wear around the area and that players can purchase in the game as well. And there's a new mission giver at New Babbage as well, Eddie Parr, who has some ties with Wallace Klim. So I'm expecting some criminal activities and drugs type things there. And overlooked but major gameplay addition is that of unoccupied space stations here. Typically found in less traversed locations. These variants have basic fuel and repair functionality, but minimal crew, security, and shopping opportunities. It also includes derelicts, but not necessarily empty stations. So these stations may be great for mission areas. They're going to be using all the parts that rest stops and space stations that we already have in game are. So it's going to have all those sort of like modular parts, and they can make them quite diverse. And they should potentially be using them for the dynamic mission system, for parts of missions, but also for points of interest, events, and more. I'm expecting that even at this stage, players will try and make some of these their short-term homes, though I do expect like pirates and NPCs and stuff like that to spawn on them, wanting a fight. There are some more ships in 3.8 planned. The Hull C from MISC, that's a big cargo hauler. This actually represents the coming together of various tech, the multi-grid physics tech and the morphing physics grids, allowing the ship to basically compress and then land, but also expand outwards and then have all its cargo spindles accessible for the attachment of external cargo. It's previously been said that they need some form of new cargo tech with larger cargo boxes to make the Hull C possible and usable in-game, and in turn reduce the amount of sort of like entities on the server. So I'm assuming that they're going to have the new cargo boxes and cargo tech there. That's not listed on the roadmap though, that's just an assumption. The Drake Cutlass Blue is the Combat Police Militia version of the Cutlass Black. Originally the main changes were like thicker armor, better weapons, and bounty hunter cells in the back so that you could put criminals in there or whatever. It should still fit the role of that in some regard, and there's an expectation that the cutlasses may be more modular with their rework as well. The Asperia Prowler is the first Tavaran ship we have planned for the game. Although it's a human reproduction, it's a stealthy dropship with shield tech, allowing the ship to be pressurized and have all its doors open so that players can, or NPCs or whatever, can run out of it and jump out of the ship without having to depressurize it. So it gives the crew much more sort of protection. It allows them to deploy much more easily, whether that be on ground or hovering near a ship. And the idea is that it's EVA sort of like deployment. There are some AI improvements with FPS combat behaviors v2, creating varied and believable combat behaviors for enemy AI to adopt in battle. The AI will not only use a variety of weapons to create different combat situations, but will also have different ways that they engage the player, whether they be in groups or solo. This task also includes creating varying levels of combat training and skill sets for specific areas or situations. For ship AI, there's the addition of ace pilot behaviors, allowing AI to decouple and will have different behaviors based on their ship loadouts. And they might even use the environment more cleverly in their tactics, and hopefully be a bit more aware of who they're fighting, what the size of their group, the size of their sort of allies, and all that sort of stuff going on. They are implementing ship-to-ship and ship-to-station docking, so this is adding the ability for some ships and stations to dock together via docking ports. This allows for larger ships to be spawned and dock at space stations as well, I believe, and is also a prerequisite for parasite docking like the P-52 and P-72 docking and undocking with the Constellation. So we might not get that parasite docking undocking with 3.8, but it's a possibility. CIG have been building new HUDs and multifunction displays, updating general audio, and improving the whole cockpit experience for ships and vehicles. We should see more immersive iterations in the sort of like cockpit, the way they look, the way you interact with them. Vehicle HUDs should also be getting support and mechanics for advanced scanning and ping features, including the storing of results and the way data is conveyed to the player, and an interface to adjust the strength of scans. There are some interesting weapons for FPS. The verified off-world laser technologies Parallax assault rifle and the Lightning Bolt Co. Axclav electron sniper rifle. I have no idea if I said any of those words correctly. For ships and vehicles, there's also the rework of the size 1 to 3 Klassen Werner sledge mass drivers. For traversal of characters and players, we have EVA suits being able to expend fuel to act as mag boots here, basically thrusting you downwards in zero gravity. This is used to help traverse space, and if you're like gravity generators disabled in the future, or if you're moving around derelicts or whatever, you should be able to choose to walk on any appropriate surface there, even if it's the ceiling in zero gravity. Another feature to help move around is the zero-G push and pull feature, with players being able to use their hands to help propel them across appropriate terrain, and also allowing you to move around without using EVA thrusters because you've run out of fuel or because you just don't have any. We are getting close and personal with sort of like close combat as well. There are plans for takedowns, unarmed fist fighting, and this is going to have various attacks. You're going to be able to use knives as well, and there's going to be ways to do stealth kills and mechanics for that too. Additional healing mechanics are also being implemented, allowing you to use medipens and similar items on other players or NPCs. There are additions to the lore system and the start of sort of like more permission systems, and this is going to be seen in the form of the security system here. It controls who has access to areas and objects based on various factors such as reputation, ownership, keycards, and faction that you belong to. It will automatically issue warnings to people breaking the law, and if ignored, will flag them as criminals to security forces. So this could be used if people don't get off your ship for a long period of time and are stowaways. We should see new missions, hacking, and more associated with this as well, and we know that this is kind of sort of part of the whole phasing out of armistice zones and the sort of extended law and criminal systems as well, and part of ship missions and that sort of stuff. So it's all sort of building towards more of that. There's lots of other stuff as well that's not listed on the roadmap. It's also possible and likely that 3.8 will see some changes before its release, with anything that doesn't make 3.7 being put into 3.8, and if stuff's not ready for the planned release of 3.8, which is typically mid-December, anything that's not ready for 3.8 at that stage should get just cut and then release 3.8 with what they've got, or at least plan to release with what they've got. There are some other features that the patch might have though, and it's worth talking about them. The addition of a new planet, Microtech, is expected to be a bit more than the current server tech can handle that we currently have in 3.6.1. So the servers are pretty pushed as they are. New optimizations are expected, but we know that CIG have been working on server-side object container streaming for a while, and they've said they sort of like needed this to expand the area. This allows them to expand gameplay area and server tech that will then keep up with it by sort of turning areas off in the service, putting them on standby, and then turning them back on when they're needed. And this is going to be based on whether a player is near them, whether they need to be turned on or not. And Microtech and further expansion may actually require this now. So this also requires full persistence to come online at the same time, apparently, saving data and loading it back in appropriately, because it's not just a question of them turning an area of the server off, they also have to save all the data of what was there. It's possible that this will be on our hands with 3.8, and it does make sense. Also, CIG have said that once full persistence is in, that they don't necessarily have to reset servers and progress with every sort of major patch. I am personally still expecting an occasional reset, but not once every 3 months. Much sort of like longer. There are many things listed in Q3, Q4 2019 on the Squadron 42 roadmap, some of which is transferable tech and features that could potentially be in 3.8 if it's ready, from Titan suits to more AI improvements, body and object tracking, player animation updates like sliding, engine improvements, a physical damage system, weapon customization, new effects, FPS deployable shields, new items and ships, procedural generation additions, companion AI, and even potentially some capital ships. There's also stuff that we know that CIG have been working on for a while now, physicalized components and subcomponents. That's something that's been mysteriously left off the roadmap, but they've been working on them. And mission sharing is another feature that we know CIG want to get in the game. Potentially that could actually be in 3.7, but we don't know how far it is along. The dynamic mission system potentially, though, gives them the chance to implement mission sharing at an appropriate, sensible time, because they did say that they needed to rework a load of the missions to work with mission sharing, but this could be done at the same time. As we saw with 3.6, the ballista, that went straight into the game without us really knowing about it. Straight to flyable ships and vehicles are certainly a possibility for 3.8 that we don't know about yet. And that's really it for my look at Alpha 3.8's roadmap and some of the potential other features that we could see by the end of 2019. But what do you think? Anything that you think I've missed? Do you think some of these features will get pushed back? Do you have a question about any of the features we mentioned? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a giveaway. For August, we are giving away a Drake Corsair bundled with an 8-inch Fire tablet and 12 months of Game Glass. Game Glass makes software allowing you to turn touchscreen devices, like tablets and mobiles, into immersive controllers for Star Citizen. But not just Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous is getting support next, and there's plans for lots more games to support this. You can use Game Glass for free, but there are paid options as well, giving you even more functionality. Please follow the links down below to get more info or to download. I'm still also shilling for NordVPN. If you're looking for a VPN, they are very cheap and have many benefits over free services. They help protect you and your privacy online, but it also makes it easier to access various websites as well. And there's Shadow 2, giving you remote access to a Windows 10 gaming PC of your very own so that you can effectively turn any appropriate device, your smartphone, a computer, a laptop, whatever, into this much more beefy machine. Subscription cloud services, in my opinion, are the way forward, and for some are going to be very appealing instead of sort of maintaining their own PC. For all of those, please follow the links below or use the code BoredGamer to get a discount. A massive thank you for watching. Please consider liking and sharing this content as well as pressing the bell icon to get informed when a video goes live. Consider Patreon or becoming a YouTube member too if you'd like to further support the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Please take care, and I'll see you in the verse.